y'all. I wanted to talk about why I am choosing to do a natural birth. When I was younger, I originally thought of birth as being in a hospital. It was something that needed a doctor's care, and from my mom's experience, she had a C-section, so that was, a pretty big surgery, and birth seemed a little bit more scary and something that required a lot of interventions and that really required the care of a hospital. As I got older, I was deciding what I wanted to do as a career and change careers, and I was looking into nursing. And before I kind of got into that, I was really into herbal medicine and herbs and kind of just like healing your body naturally. And I came across this book at the library, Spiritual Midwifery, and I didn't really know what midwifery was or a midwife was or anything like that, but honestly the colorful beautiful cover intrigued me, and I started to look into it and I rented the book out. And what I really discovered was a whole new definition of childbirth and a whole actually spiritual and magical world, that this really was one of the last things that we have in this life that is so beautiful and connected to the bigger picture, the other world, just everything makes us all one, bringing life into this world. And I wanted to delve deeper. So this really inspired me to see birth in a new way. And what really kind of changed my perspective was, originally when I was younger, I had that basic overview of birth, but I didn't really know a lot about it. I was still young. I wasn't planning on having kids. I wasn't in that mindset, and I didn't really see or hear any horror stories or anything like that. So my foundation of understanding what birth should be like and what should be expected of it and what kind of experiences you can have really came from this book. The first half is full of mothers' personal stories of their birth and their experience and how they felt and what happened. And so I read hundreds of mothers' birth stories and really connected to having that experience for my future births. So now that I'm pregnant, I have definitely been inspired by that. I believe that a natural birth is what is best for the mom and the baby, outside of having any other health conditions, of course. But I strongly believe and have faith. I think that there is a magical and spiritual element when it comes to bringing a baby into this world, and I feel confident that I will be able to do it. And so this was a main influence as to why I decided to do a natural birth. Another reason I decided to do a natural birth is because I have had some experience in the medical field. Now that I've finished nursing school, I've gotten to see births, nothing horrible, but I've gotten to see what it's like for mothers to give birth in a hospital setting with an obstetrician, and just the process that they go through. As this being my foundation with thinking of birth, I think of birth as being the mother being very vulnerable. It's a very primitive state, so your senses are extremely heightened and alert, almost like animalistic. So any types of changes in the environment, that's the other thing. The environment is a huge part of creating a peaceful and less painful birth. And what I've noticed in the hospital setting is that they are constantly moving the laboring mother. So she comes into this one room, they do an inspection, super bright lights. They are putting all this stuff on her, possibly putting an IV in her, just like a lot of pretty mildly invasive things going on. And it disrupts her concentration of laboring. It disrupts her ability to listen to her body, because she's having to answer all these questions. She's having to pay attention to what this person's doing, what that person's doing. She's got, you know, the bright lights. It's can be intense and stressful. And then they take her to, if she's dilated enough, they'll take her to the actual room where she'll have to get resettled in all over again. She'll meet the doctor, she'll talk to all the nurses, they'll set her up, it'll be this whole process, and then she finally gets a little bit of rest. But if she starts to keep progressing, you'll have tons of people coming in and out of the room, up to 5 or 6 people. And the other thing too with that is that they make you lay on your back, and laying on your back is one of the most painful positions that you can be in when you're giving birth, because the baby is pushing against your spine as well as pushing against your vena cava, which is bringing blood and oxygen, or already deoxygenated blood, back up to your heart to be able to recycle it. And it just causes a lot of issues. I've seen perfectly fine births, you know, in a hospital. It went well, the mother seemed fine, but it was kind of lacking that the births that I've seen in hospitals weren't horrible experiences for the mothers. They gave birth to their baby, everything was fine. It was a joyous moment at the end. They, you know, overcame the obstacles that they were overcoming. But there could have been a better experience. And from what I've read, a lot of women have spoken about giving birth in a hospital versus giving birth in a more natural setting, is that they feel like they were more in charge of their birth, and that more empowered after giving birth in a setting where it was nurtured the environment and letting the mother feel and move how she wanted to move. She was more free in that sense, instead of being put in a certain position, in a certain place, having her do what was most convenient for the medical team, for their will to do what they thought was best in that situation for the mom. So I really feel like giving birth is a really vulnerable moment. I'm a fairly shy person. I don't always feel comfortable in medical situations from what I've experienced, and I also don't want to experience a hospital birth. I want to give myself the power of giving birth to my baby and having someone oversee it, and having someone understand that the very small nuances of the environment can be affecting me in a much larger way than it would someone who's not giving birth. So that's another reason that I want to give birth naturally. So what I'm actually doing is I've kind of found the best of both worlds. I am going to be giving birth in a alternative birthing center that is within a hospital. This makes me and my husband feel a little bit more secure about going into this. This is my first baby, so everything will be very new going forward. This is our first baby, but not our first real baby. So I am pregnant with our first baby, and this will all be new. So I want to kind of have that security that if some crazy thing does go wrong, then I will literally be in the hospital and everything. Rabbit, it's okay. and everything will be a lot speedier than if I were in like a real birthing center outside of a hospital or in my own home. So depending on how I would probably still give birth at this birth center for my next children, just because I do still like that security no matter what. But so yeah, that's why I want to have a natural birth. I'm really excited. We are currently 19 weeks pregnant, and I've been trying to kind of like follow things naturally so far. There's very little that you can do as far as natural remedies during pregnancy. You kind of have to let the baby grow and just nourish it with your food. But I'm excited for getting a little bit closer to the 3rd trimester and getting closer to birth. So thanks for watching. If you're interested, I have more videos about this topic and other topics in the same realm. Thanks.